guys, it's Shara from Woodshop Diaries, and today I'm going to show you how I built a new mobile battery charging station for my workshop. My old battery charging station used to be basically a piece of scrap plywood with some, but not all, of my battery chargers mounted to it. And in my old shop, I screwed it to the wall and I plugged it into my tool chest power strip so that I could charge everything all at once. But ever since I moved into this shop about a year ago, it's been sitting on my tool chest, just taking up space and looking like a hot mess. So I finally got tired of it and built this simple 4-sided mobile battery charging station. I separated my battery chargers for my outdoor tool equipment on one power strip and my workshop tools on a separate power strip. And I've got shelving above and below so that I can store my batteries and separate them out by fully charged and fully drained. And it's on wheels so I can roll it around and out of the way as needed. I'm excited to show you how I built it, so if you're ready to see how it all came together, let's go.
Before building anything, I sketched up my idea on Make by Me, who is today's video sponsor. You all are always asking me what type of 3D modeling software that I use or recommend for drawing out my projects. So I thought I'd introduce you to Make by Me, which is a new app developed by the same creators behind Home by Me and SolidWorks for makers. Make by Me is an easy to use 3D modeling app perfect for designing and drawing out furniture and woodworking projects like this battery charging station. Within Make by Me, you can shop for common materials like 3/4 inch plywood and 2x4s, for example. You can also add these pieces to the model and drag, rotate, join, and adjust as needed to create your project. My favorite part about this is that after you complete your rendering, Make by Me auto-generates plans for you to follow to assemble the project together. You can even pull this up on the website on your phone as well to bring it with you to the shop. And for furniture designs, it integrates with Home by Me, which is a 3D modeling app that allows you to design an entire room or space. So if you wanted to see how everything would fit together before building it, you can import your Make by Me furniture project into a room that you designed in Home by Me to see it all in 3D. If you're interested in learning more about Make by Me, check out the link in the description or head to this link that I've listed right here. With my project sketched out and my cut list ready to go, I headed to the shop to get started. I built this project from 3/4 inch plywood. I used birch because that's just what I had in the shop already, but since this is a shop project, you could definitely use a lower grade plywood to save a few bucks if you wanted. I used a circular saw and my Craig Rip Cut to cut down my plywood sheet. 2 16-inch wide strips is all that you need to build this, so I took the leftover strip and put it back in my wood storage room so that I can use it for a later project. I trimmed these strips down on the miter saw, but you could certainly just use a circular saw for this entire project if you wanted. All the measurements for this can be found in the plans linked in the description, but I cut 2 pieces from the plywood strip and assembled a quote-unquote T shape using wood glue and wood screws. Then I cut another piece the same size as the bottom to place on top to make kind of a capital letter I shape. I made sure it was centered and screwed it in place. Since this was a workshop project and not a furniture piece, I obviously didn't bother with applying iron-on edge banding or worrying with concealing the screws. But if you're into that, feel free to make it fancy. I completed the bottom half by gluing 2 panels on each side. Now the top half is basically just a repeat of the bottom half, rotated 90 degrees. I continued to glue and screw each piece in place according to the plans generated by the Make by Me program, and again, I've provided the step-by-step with measurements in the video description for specifics. Once the entire piece was assembled, I used a Craig shelf pin jig in the open sections to drill shelf pin holes. Now, you could definitely install stationary shelves and just screw these in place, but I like having options, so I drilled out holes to make the shelves adjustable later. Then I flipped the entire thing upside down to add some casters on the bottom corners. I used some 1 1/4 inch wood screws on the far outside edges going into the plywood edges. But so that these screws didn't pop up through the wood in the middle, I used 5/8 inch screws with washers on the inside. The final part was adding the shelves. Now, I had already drilled shelf pin holes in all of the shelf sections, so I installed shelf pins into the holes that I wanted to use for the shelves and then started cutting them out. After cutting all the panels for the main body, I had some 16-inch wide plywood strip left over, so I ripped this into 2 6-inch wide strips. I used a table saw, but you could definitely use a circular saw instead. Once I had these strips cut, I trimmed 4 of them to length to place inside the charging station. And with that, the build was complete. Now I just needed to mount the chargers and deal with all the cords. Now, I'm sure you've probably seen this trick before, but just in case, I'll show you anyway. All but one of my battery chargers came with built-in mounting holes on the underside. So that I didn't have to measure anything, I just used some painter's tape over these holes and then poked holes through the tape where the mounting holes were. Then I could just transfer this piece of tape to the panel where I wanted to mount it and drive my 5/8 inch wood screws at these locations. This made mounting these chargers super quick and easy, and not having to deal with all of the measurements was nice. Now, I'll deal with these cords later, but for now I went to town to grab 2 heavy-duty power strips and mounted these the same way. I used 1 power strip for my tool batteries and 1 for my outdoor equipment batteries. And I did my best to organize and zip tie and run all these cords to their designated power strips without it being like a complete rat's nest. I didn't want to run all these cords on the inside because I didn't want to interfere with the shelving, and I also didn't want to drill a bunch of holes all over it just in case I'd swap things out later and use this for something else, or I mount new chargers or whatever. So I just used these sticky mounting blocks, some zip ties, and cable wrap to do what I could, running the cords along the outside. At the end of the day, it's a battery charging station for my workshop, and you just can't avoid the cords. As long as it works, that's all I really cared about. I did drill out 1 hole to run the cords for 2 chargers since they were on the opposite side of the power strip, but you could just drill holes and run all your cords if you preferred that way. And with that, my new battery charging setup was complete and ready to be put to good use. I'm glad to have my tool chest worktop finally cleared off. It's only been like a year, and a much better setup for charging all of the various batteries. This would also be great for on-the-go work too, since I can just load this into the truck and take it to wherever and plug it right in. Don't forget to check out the plans to build your own in the video description, and while you're there, check out Make By Me to draw up your next build idea as well. If you're not already following along, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all of the upcoming builds and projects coming soon. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and until next time, happy building!